Hello, lovely humans, Jen Fox here. In this video, I'm going to show you a project that I made called My Lil AI. It was inspired by those adorable little Tamagotchi games that were super popular in the 90s. I definitely enjoyed playing them. And the purpose of this game is to, one, be fun, and also to teach folks like yourselves the basics of machine learning. Machine learning algorithms, or computer programs, are everywhere. They are what show us content from our favorite search engines, as well as all of the content that we see on social media, which is determined by the things that we engage with and the other data from our activity across the web. So it's really important for us, since pretty much all of us are using technology to some degree or another, that we understand what machine learning is, what it's not, and what it's capable of. So in this video, I'll show you a little demo of my project, and I'll explain some of the basic machine learning concepts behind the game. And then I'll walk you through the blocks that I used on Microsoft MakeCode so that you can adapt it and build your own. All right, let's go. All right. So I mentioned that I made this game using Microsoft MakeCode Arcade, and I'm using the Adafruit Edgebadge, which has some buttons very similar to a game console. Basically is a kind of DIY game console, which is super fun. And then it has this cute little screen in the middle, yay! So this is our game. Welcome to My Lil AI, yay! Our main character, the hero of our story, if you will, is a little hermit crab, which is adorable. So I press A to start the game, and we start out with 3 hearts and a notification that says, press B to teach your new friend how to move. So I'm gonna skip this because I actually want to show you a bug that kind of became a feature of this program. So if I just do nothing, my creature does nothing. It's not terribly exciting. But if I start to give the creature data, let's say I want to move my creature right. So this is the bug. It's technically not supposed to do anything, but I'm training my creature, which is called AI, how to move in the direction of the key that I pressed. But that's kind of boring. It's only moving in one direction. So let's also train it to move in the up direction. The more that I press each key, the more data that I am giving to my creature on how to move. So right now we've only trained it to move right and up, but if I press the left and down buttons, I'll also train it to move left and down. And this is very similar, it's not exactly how machine learning works, but it's very similar to how machine learning works, which is basically that we gather the data. In this case, the gathered data is me clicking the buttons. We identify the features of that data. In this case, we have, kind of 4 sets of data. One is the move right, move up, move left, and move down. And then we label that data. So in this case, when I press the right key, it's labeling that data as move right. When I press the up key, it's labeling that data as move up, down as down, and left as left. And so once you've done that, once you've gathered data, you've identified the features of your data, and you've labeled the data, then you would, if you need to, design and build the model. So in this case, because I'm making kind of a pseudo machine learning model on MakeCode, I did have to build the model. I had to decide how I'm going to take this data and translate it into quote unquote learning for the creature. But oftentimes, especially these days, there's machine learning models that you can just get off the web. And typically it's pretty good. It's way easier and way faster to start with a model that someone else has built. Also better, probably, because I'm not an expert in AI or machine learning. So it's nice to take things from folks that are experts, and then I, hopefully can trust what they've done and build on top of it. So once we have our model, then we can use our labeled data to train the model, which is kind of what we've already done. But basically, what I wanted to show here was I trained it right and up only, and then I decided, but I also want it to go left and down. And that's, again, very typical of what we see with machine learning. So the machine learning program is probably not going to behave as you want it to the first time that you train it with the data set. And so what we want to do is just keep updating it. Test how it works, observe it, see where it's accurate, see where it's not very accurate, and then keep gathering more data, maybe updating the model if you need to. But yeah, just keep updating it until you have something that's kind of what you want. Okay, so now that I've kind of talked about the basics of machine learning and how we are applying that to teaching our creature how to move, I'll show you kind of the more fun feature of the game. So once you press B, way back in the beginning of the game, it was like, press B to teach your friend how to move, and I skipped that because I wanted to kind of show you this bug feature, feature bug. Now, once I press B, that basically allows me to move the creature on my own. So not just training it, but also moving it. And so if we move around, I think I saw something up in the corner, but the other thing that we can do in this game is train our creature to eat foods. So our creature found this apple. Yum, apple. And if you noticed up in the corner up here, our hearts went from 3 to 4. So that means that the apple is good. Yum, hermit crabs like apples. Okay, and so now where is that pesky? Okay, so this is an onion, not a pineapple. So this is the other food in the game. Should I eat this? Okay, well, let's test and see what happens, because maybe we don't know. Oh no, our hearts went from 5 to 4, and there's a little fire animation, which is not good. So that tells us that hermit crabs can't eat onions, so we should not train our AI to eat the onion. In other words, we should train it to not eat the onion. If I train it enough times on both of these foods, eventually it will be able to know what to do on its own, and something kind of fun happens. At least I think it's fun. So this time I'm gonna reach this and I'm gonna tell it not to eat the onion. Oh, but it didn't know, so it ate it anyway. All right, so now because I've trained the creature just to eat the apple enough times, it's had enough data that it is able to make predictions about what to do. And same thing with the onion. If I tell it not to do this enough times, and there's this kind of funky trick in MakeCode where if you're overlapping something, it'll just keep bugging you about it. Okay, and so now we've trained it enough times because it kind of got stuck over the onion. And it's like, oh no, poison, don't eat it. And so it'll just roll over it. Yay. And so you could kind of let your creature go and let it move, and it'll eat and not eat things. And yeah, woohoo. All right, so I'll walk you through the blocks really quickly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the demo. Yay. All right, so I'm gonna really quickly cover the blocks just so that you get a sense of what went into making this very, very, very simplified version of machine learning, quote unquote, very parsed down to its basic concepts. So in the start, we're setting up our sprite, our food, and our poison. We're setting some basic parameters to kind of put things where we want and set values to our variables that we need. These blocks are how we are doing the training for movement. So basically, once we press B, then we can use the arrow keys over here. But even if we're not using the arrow keys, these blocks help to train the sprite how to move. So every time you press an arrow key, we're changing a variable for each different direction. So in this case, we're changing the left move counter by 1. And then this is kind of a little math trick because I didn't want to make it a 1-to-1 ratio because then your sprite would move real fast, real quick. So this is kind of a way to slow down the movement. And then because on our game screen, left is in the negative direction, right is in the positive direction. And as far as I know, there's no way to do imaginary numbers or complex numbers in here. So I just said, okay, we'll take the square root and then just multiply it by -1. It's fine. And then change the sprite's velocity in the x direction by this amount. And so we're doing that for each of the different directions. So one set of blocks for training in each of the 4 directions. And then if I scroll over right, these 2 fairly long blocks, the one on the left is for training the sprite to eat the apple, or the eat counter. And then the one on the right is training the sprite to, well, hopefully not eat the poison. And so basically, you know, if you were to read through these blocks, it's a few different if-then statements. So basically, if the eat counter is this, then do this. And if you get a user input of 1, increase it. If you get a user input of 0, decrease it. And once it hits a certain threshold, in this case, if you train it 8 times, then it will eat the food automatically, change the life, etc., etc. And basically this one is the opposite. So flip it and reverse. Yeah, cool. So that's pretty much it. So this is open source, so by all means, take this project and run with it. I hope that it helps to make machine learning a little bit more easily understandable. Please let me know if you have any questions about this, and I would love to see any remixes that you do. So take these blocks and add things to it, add different things to train your little creature. You could change the creature, you could just start over, take the things that you like from this game and make them better. I would love to see that. So please definitely reach out if you end up doing that. And of course, let me know if you have any questions or other types of project requests. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.